Hi, everyone. Today we are here with Miss Kirsten Corley, a Senior Development Associate at the Covenant House, New Jersey, who has been fighting to support homeless youth for 4 years. Now, Miss Corley, how did you personally get involved in the fight against homelessness?
Yeah, so I had first heard about Covenant House through a friend of mine who was doing the sleep out, and they had invited me to join them for the evening. And, I went to New York and I got to meet some of the kids and I got to meet some of the staff. And what we did was we slept outside with a box and a sleeping bag to raise money for our kids. So that was kind of how I first got involved. And I stayed involved as a board member in New York. And then when I moved back to New Jersey, they were hiring somebody and I applied for the position and I've been there for the past 4 years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could you give us some information about Covenant House and what it does as a whole?
Yeah, so we are a shelter that helps survivors of human trafficking and youth facing homelessness. And what we really try to do is, help them to go from, somebody who is struggling a little bit and, needs some support to independent. So we do that through a lot of different means. We have job readiness programs. We have mentor programs to try to help them get jobs, continue their education. Join some of our programs in our Dove Learning Center, which is a center in our building that helps individuals with resiliency. And, just as you guys have clubs and stuff, the Dove Learning Center has clubs for kids. So it's like yoga, we have music, we have writing workshops, we have resume building, we have computer tech classes. So it's a place for individuals who need support and want to learn something more, can go there and get that kind of support that they need, all with the goal of trying to get them to a place of independence through jobs and education.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
You mentioned sleep outs. Could you please explain more in detail what a sleep out is and how it functions in helping the homeless?
Yeah. So our sleep out is one of our top fundraisers that we do. Covenant House is 86% privately funded. So that's individuals like yourself who, raise your hand and say, I want to make a change. I want to do something. So whether you're a student, whether you're an executive, whether you're a woman, we have different sleep out editions. So we have our sleep out executive edition. We have a sleep out Montclair community edition. We have sleep out community, Women Unite, sleep out student editions. You can join one of those sleep outs where we come to your school or you come to our shelter and you sleep outside with a box and a sleeping bag and you try to hit your fundraising goal. For students, it's usually 300. For adults, it's usually 1,000 based on the edition. So you work in sharing the message of Covenant House, becoming an advocate, and telling everybody what Covenant House does and how it helps individuals, and you fundraise for us. And those funds go directly towards the kids and directly towards helping some of our young people.
Wow. So is there a specific county you're focused in, or do you work across New Jersey?
Yeah, so we're located in Newark. That's where our crisis center is and our rites of passage program. We're also in Atlantic City that has a crisis center and a rites of passage. And our rites of passage program is a step towards independence. So it's still under the Covenant House umbrella, but what we do is we try to get them away from the crisis center because they've been doing really well by themselves and they get to move into their own house and get their own room. So it's one step closer to independence. So those are some of the programs that we have. We also have a moms and babies program in Elizabeth. We have a mental health house in Montclair. And we are located in Asbury Park. So while those are our main locations, we help individuals in need throughout the entire state, and we are doing outreach throughout the entire state to anyone between the ages of 18 to 21 who might need our services and might need a place to stay.
That's great. So for your emergency shelters and transitional services, if one's in need of those, how would they go about reaching out to the Covenant House?
Yeah, so we have, staff that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the number is 973-621 8705. So anybody can call that number and reach out. You can also reach out to us through Facebook. If you sent us a Facebook message, we have a team of people that are there to answer those messages. So that's the way that you can get connected to us. Or you could walk into any Covenant House shelter and they will welcome you in and ask if you need food, if you need something to eat, if you need a shower, if you need to clean your clothes. We really try to meet our kids at what their immediate needs are and just welcome them through the doors.
Mm-hmm. So are there any primary groups or demographics your organization seems to serve more often?
You know, we serve ages 18 to 21 as kind of the age demographic of individuals that we try to support. You know, we can't really intervene before somebody turns 18. So we really try to get them at the age of 18 for somebody in need. And, you know, in regards to demographic, it's just anybody who, you know, might have come from an abusive home, who might have been a part of the foster care system and suddenly didn't have a place to live. They might be dealing with alcohol or addiction within their family, and it might be safer for them to be out on the streets than it is to be in their house. About 10% of our kids are survivors of human trafficking. So those are some of the circumstances of how individuals find their way to us. And, you know, they might be referred to us by a friend, a counselor, an adult teacher, anybody who sees that this person might be in need and at risk. So they'll send them our way.
Mm-hmm. So I know at the Covenant House, you focus on youth homelessness. Do you also cater to more like older age groups as well? Like if
we don't cater to older individuals. We have partnerships with other shelters in the area, and we can refer anybody who's not in that age. But we do help anybody who is a survivor of human trafficking at any age. So if somebody is identified as a survivor of human trafficking, we can help them and provide them with things that we have to offer and the partnerships that we have. But we really try to help the young people who are around 18 to 21, because we feel that's the age that we can have the most impact.
Okay. So are there any differences between youth homelessness and the other varieties of homelessness and like the way that they come about?
I wouldn't say, you know, everything, you know, the kids find their way to us because of circumstances beyond their control. It's nothing they did wrong. It's things that have happened to them. Their family might have become displaced, you know, and any sort of reason, you know, it's not that they're bad kids. They're just kids who need an opportunity and need somebody to help them out. So that when it comes to our kids, you know, we often see that similar trend of, you know, something happened to them that they need help. When it comes to adults who are facing homelessness, what we often see is once they get to that age where they haven't had the mental health services that they need, you know, a kid and a youth can come to our shelter and get therapy and work through some of their trauma and get the support that they need. You know, an adult who might be on the streets might not have had access to those types of services. So they might be struggling a bit more. They might fall into struggling with addiction. They might not have been able to overcome their mental health issues. So I'd say the biggest difference is that an adult might not have gotten the help that a Covenant House kid got to put them on the path for success.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel there are any common misconceptions people hold about the homeless peoples?
I would say, you know, at least relating to our kids, I'd say the greatest misconception is that, like I said, they did something wrong to deserve this, that they're bad kids, that they, you know, it's their fault. But, you know, it's so often something that has happened to them, which is, you know, how they ended up here. And it's how they, you know, it's kids who've been in the foster care system. It's kids who've been abused. It's, you know, individuals who've experienced domestic violence, and, you know, their families might be struggling too. So it's nothing our kids have done wrong. It's just somebody that needs that help and needs that support.
Mm-hmm. What are the best actions we as a community can take to solve homelessness?
I would say the best thing that anybody can do is, you know, look up when the next sleep out is. You know, that's a step you can take right now. I'm sorry. That's a step you can take right now and, see when the next sleep out is. We offer a lot virtually. There's some in person if you wanted to come on site and come see one of our shelters and get to meet our kids, get to meet our staff, get to see what the programming is all about. And that's a great action step that you can take. And, it helps our kids directly. And, we appreciate it. And we always try to expand our sleep out movement.
Yeah. So is there anything youth in particular can do to help solve homelessness, besides sleep outs, obviously, which you can organize?
Yeah, I think other ways, we're always looking for things online, like our wish lists of items that you can collect. So I'd say look at our website and see what's in need. When the holidays are coming up, we're always looking for gifts for our kids. They could be gift cards, it could be any sort of item. So you could find that and I'll share it with you on the website. But that's another action step that you can take.
Mm-hmm. So as someone who's working to fight against homelessness in New Jersey, do you feel there are any challenges that are unique to our community in New Jersey alone as compared to other states?
I think any site, any location of Covenant House generally sees the same kinds of problems. It's kids who have come from abusive homes. It's kids who have been trafficked. So we generally see, the same type of issues that I had previously spoke about. In New Jersey, we see about 10% of our kids who are survivors of human trafficking. And I think that's probably one of the greatest challenges is as we are trying to do good work and help these kids and put them on a right path, there's somebody else who's trying to pull them down the wrong path and, force them into things that, nobody should endure and anybody should experience. So as good as the work that we do together as a community, there's people who aren't good out there trying to harm our kids.
Mm-hmm. So seeing as sleep outs are an event where a lot of people are gathering together, I imagine COVID probably had a huge impact on your organization. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, I'll speak first to the sleep out since you spoke about that. We were sitting thinking, what the heck are we going to do? We can't have in-person events anymore. So what type of event can we have? So we had a virtual sleep out and, we did that virtually and then the school started doing the virtual sleep outs also. And I'm sorry, my dog's in the background. No, one second. I'm sorry. So yeah, we had the virtual sleep outs and then I could speak to how it impacted our shelter and the kids. The kids were resilient. A lot of people got sick and a lot of people ended up in the hospital, but, the kids were resilient and said, whatever happens, we're going to acclimate, we're going to adjust. Our kids are built for resiliency. They've come from very tough situations. So when their jobs got put on hold and things got put on hold in their world, they, came to Covenant House and just, trusted us and trusted our staff. What we did see was less people came to Covenant House at the height of the pandemic because people were afraid of, coming to a big shelter where there's a lot of people. They're afraid of the pandemic. They're afraid of all of those things. So we saw the census go down a little bit, but once things started to get back to normal, people started coming back to our sites and, filling our beds and getting the help that they needed.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel that COVID's impacted the homeless community in general?
I think, a lot of people lost jobs during the pandemic. A lot of people lives got entirely displaced. We see rent going up. We see all of those trends happening where people suddenly can't afford their lives. So, I think there was a pretty big increase of individuals who became homeless during the pandemic as a result of losing their jobs and not being able to fund their lifestyles and be able to pay for things. But I can't speak to the percentages worldwide because I don't know that. But, there was a correlation between the pandemic hitting and more people becoming homeless.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Corley, for taking the time out of your schedule to meet and talk with me about this important issue. It was very informative, and I'll be looking to schedule my own sleep out at my school.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too.